Hi again. First of all, I want to apologize for being gone so long. I had work and family obligations and just been crazy last month. Anyway, I went ahead and just coded up the rest of Tasks Manager, and we're going to have a look at that now. This will be the last Yeoman backbone RequireJS video in the series, and I hope to go back to shorter videos. Anyway, so here we are creating a new category. Because this is basically a glorified to-do MVC with categories added. So tasks are part of categories, for example. So we're going to create some tasks. We'll create a new category, hobby, and then some tasks, and show off some of these features. Let's create another task here, hang gliding. I don't know if that's how you spell it, but in any event, let's save that. So now we have one completed, one incomplete. If we click completed, it filters. If we click all, and if we clear completed, that works as expected, and we can of course delete a task. We can completely obliterate a category, and that'll delete any tasks associated with it. So we have a big warning there. We have the all category, which is all of the categories mixed in as one, as you'd expect. So if we if we mark prepare for final as completed, we can filter that and then go back to looking at all of them. So this is basically Tasks Manager, and I've got it on GitHub. I'll show you the GitHub URL later in this video. Let's have a look at some things that are interesting. This is kind of neat. When you go past a certain breakpoint in the width of the browser here, you can see it's responsive. And that's pretty simple because Bootstrap gives us a lot of functionality for free, as usual. So how do we do that? First, we imported Bootstrap, and then we put the padding at the top. We increased ours to 90 pixels. And then we import the Bootstrap responsive. If you're using less, I'm using SAS here. If you're using less, it'll be slightly different, but in how you include these, but the ordering will be the same. Now here I'm putting the padding top after the include of responsive, and you see that doesn't work because the responsive is actually going to go in and set that to 0, and then we're like kind of adding it back. So if I put that back, you can see it'll immediately live reload for us. So the other thing you want to be careful of is it needs to be padding. You can do padding shorthand or padding top, but margin top, although it will work on the desktop size to do what you want it to do, it's not going to work because when it resets, it's going to try to mark padding at 0, padding top at 0, and it's going to miss your margin. Your margin will stay there. So let's look at that in the responsive nav bar. This is a SAS partial. The less partials are going to be similar. It's trying to set that padding, and if you mark that as margin, you're kind of screwed. So let's look at this background image. There it is without the background image, just plain vanilla white. And if we put that back, you can see we got a nice little cloth-alike texture. And it adds a lot of visual appeal, in my opinion. Pretty much a standard trick these days. You go to subtle patterns or make one of these yourself. I downloaded this cloth-alike. It looks like that was done by PX Web Design. I'm probably butchering their name, but anyway, I've put a comment in my code. Let's just go to their site, PX Web Design. Gorgeous page. So they do killer web design. Okay. And you can see I've put the little attribution there. This is just a teaching example-based project thing, so it's not that big of a deal, but I like to give credit. You can see I commented out the Compass CSS 3, and let's look at that font, that Tasks Manager up there on the upper left. That's a cursive font, sort of specialized, and it's Satisfy, and we got that from Google Fonts. And the way you do that is you just Google for Google Fonts, go up there and just follow the directions. It's really easy to include custom fonts from Google Fonts. Now if I turn off my internet connection and reload, you'll see, as the font family stated, it goes from satisfy back to cursive. Cursive is a bit ugly. So in a production system, I'd probably have a better fallback, and then maybe cursive last. So maybe I'd have 3 in the font family. In any event, that's just another way to sort of customize the look of your thing. We've got some drop shadows and stuff. I won't get into that. You can look at the code. But let's go ahead and have a look at the main view controllers, or backbone views rather. Sidebar.js is a reasonable size. It's under 100 lines here. I guess 80 lines. And that deals with the sidebar on the page. And then there's content.js. It's a hodgepodge, an unfortunate hodgepodge of a bunch of stuff happening on the main view. In a production system, we'd break that out into multiple views. And then there's here's my real big disclaimer section. Is the categories collection is using Backbone local storage. I was trying to figure out how to do this so I didn't have to create a full REST API, server API. But you can see that you have categories, and categories have tasks. So anytime I did anything to a task, I updated all the categories. You don't want to do this in a real system. It's inefficient. And I just point you to this as sort of like an anti-pattern, or don't do this. It worked for this example just to keep my data reflecting what was actually happening. But I'm looping through all these categories and resetting them. You'd probably have a task ID and a category ID. Push that up to the server, and the server would do that for you in a much more efficient way. So feel free to play with that and fix that if you'd like. Anyway, here's the repo. It's on my Rob Levin Tennis GitHub, Yeoman _110 backbone RequireJS. Here's my same disclaimer. Category model code that uses backbone local storage is not recommended approach and is not efficient. Don't do it. If you want to install this, you're going to need Node, Git, Ruby, and Compass installed, which I assume you already have if you're following along with this tutorial, because Yeoman will require that too. So there's the directions with some comments. It should be pretty straightforward. The backbone local storage stuff I had to git clone manually. For some reason, wasn't getting the right version, but I got that on the directions. And contributing, if you'd like to fix some of these issues that I've brought up, feel free to and submit a pull request. It's just an instructional repo. So, there it is, Task Manager. This is really to do MVC, Adi Osmani's project with categories, and it's a great exercise, and I decided to do it with categories and see how it came out for us. And there you go. Go clone it.